Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Random Hour. As always, I'm your co-host Devin Moore, and Kyle's not here with us today. So, as always, when he leaves me unsupervised, I ask somebody to take the passenger seat while I'm driving. Hopefully, it won't take too many wrong turns, and I'm going to give him the floor.
Hi, I just introduced myself and cool. My name is Dane Brady. Most of the stuff I do on the internet these days is with my kind of shop art crafty online identity, CrossWiredCrafts. I've been doing like kit bashes of like model kits. I do foam cosplay masks like the one that's, where is it? Back right here.
Yeah, to you.
I have t-shirts that I also do designs for, fan art and things. And for keen observers of my work, you might notice a theme, which is that 99% of it is Bionicle, which, I believe indicates that I have undergone a healthy journey towards adulthood. The transition from childhood to adulthood was clean, no issues, and I have a very healthy relationship with leaving childhood behind. So... on top of that, I'm also a voice actor, sometimes, not as much lately, but sometimes. What are some of the things I've been in that people might know? I mean, not to make everything about Bionicle, but we're probably going to be talking about Bionicle a lot anyway. I was the voice of Liwa in the recently canceled Bionicle Masks of Power demo by Team Kanohi, formerly Team Kanohi, that they are now called Unmasked Games, I believe. Either Unmasked Games or Unmasked Studios. And they're working on a new project that's just also happens to be about robots in, a jungle, but legally distinct. So I did that. I've done this podcast called The Strata. It's like an audio drama that was really cool. But lately I've been doing a little bit more stage stuff just where I'm at. Pretty small things, but, I have a booth and I have a microphone. So that's half the journey already, I guess.
Question. So, I'm going to ask the most important question here is what was your favorite Bionicle growing up out of the original line?
You talking all of Generation 1 or like original 6 Toa?
Let's go 6 Toa first.
Okay. I mean, I always felt drawn towards, the red characters. I mean, the Red Ranger was my favorite. I liked Spider-Man growing up. So initially it was Tahu. I think also Bionicle made it easy because they were always like, the red one's the leader. The red one's the most important one. So I was like, I like the most important one. That makes me important. But in my, older years, I've definitely developed more of an affinity for Liwa. Part of that comes from, voicing him, kind of. I also voice him in another Bionicle project, which is Bionicle Iliad. And it was really fun in both versions to do, because in the Massive Power game, we were using a conlang, just like a fictional language that like they had a linguist on the team who like devised like a language. And so it was basically gibberish, but then trying to act through that was interesting. And then Bionicle Iliad is just like, hey, I'm Liwa, what's up? So I definitely have an affinity for him now. Kopaka, Kopaka's cool. Pohatu, yeah. I mean, I think I've grown to like everybody else a little bit more than Tahu, because listen, love the guy, but he can be a bit of a problem, more so than I think than the rest. I think everything would have gone smoothly for them the first couple adventures they had to go on if it weren't for Tahu. Most of the conflict is coming from him.
Man, yeah, no. I remember when we saw your profile, because Kyle had found you first, and he's like, Devin, how do you feel about Bionicles? I was like, dude, Bionicles? I was like, man, dude, it's been a fat minute, but I love it. He's like, good. And it's funny, you have The Mask of Light, and it was The Mask of Light was the first movie. The third one or the second one was the one where they were spiders.
That's Web of Shadows, yeah.
I didn't like Web of Shadows. That one...
Oh, really?
I didn't. That was like... that killed it for me. And I was like, I'm done. But I can't remember the second one that well.
The second one is Legends of Metro Nui. And then the arc of the original 3 Miramax movies is that you have the first one, Mask of Light.
Yep.
And then the second one and third one are prequels, kind of, to the first one. And then, so the second movie ends with them basically getting to a point where you could watch Mask of Light right after that. And then the third one is like, wait, hold on. Before that ending, another thing happened, which was they got mutated by a bunch of spiders into their personas.
That's what I thought, yeah. It's been like a hot minute. Yeah, because I mean, let's say that one came out, I think, what was it, 2007 maybe?
5 was Bionicle 3. This is how I tell time. My brain is broken.
See, that's how I'm like, that's how I'm like, man, back in the good old days when we had Toys R Us, the whole Bionicle. Like listen, I grew up in a Bionicle household too, so we had
Yeah.
the red one, like you said. We were all my brothers. We were like we wanted to be the leader. We had the red one, the blue one, the green one, and then the silver one. Yeah, because we would just buy them, man, because they were just so much more easier to build than
Yeah.
Legos,
Yeah,
in
they
my
are.
opinion.
I frequently daydream and think about how you could have like a generation 3 happen in a way that would make it just as, if not more successful than, the first generation of Bionicle. And I
Mm-hmm.
kind of think it's impossible, maybe. It was just such a specific time. And it was such a specific notion for Lego to have like something with its own lore that felt like epic and mysterious tonally, which nothing that they had ever done at that point felt that way, and kind of nothing since. I mean, Ninjago is
And
obviously, I feel like, inarguably more successful. At least I feel the same way. Sorry, Ninjago fans.
yeah, sorry. What are
I'm
you
a
gonna
little
do?
bit bitter. Yeah, I'm a little bitter about it, I will admit. The fact that it's still going is so crazy.
Is it really? I thought it ended a long time ago.
It's still going. I think a new show came out a year ago, a couple years ago. Yeah, which is it's so wild. And like, they've basically, what I do admire about Ninjago, and I do think if they do end up bringing Bionicle back for a third time, it would potentially look more like Ninjago, which I think would be the smarter way to go. But I also think you would lose something that was really special about Bionicle, which was you didn't really know it was Lego when you first looked at it.
Correct.
Yeah, it didn't have the same like playful vibe. Everything was very like complex and weird and sharp, like visually, texturally, aesthetically. And the tone was very like, it's all about the mystery, and it's all about, what are the secrets of this universe? And these characters are going to fly around and shoot things at each other. Please don't shoot each other in the head with these, or your parents will sue us. But,
Yeah, for real. Hold up. I only got 5 cents to my name.
oh, yeah.
Oh yeah, that was another thing too. Was the second one? Oh gosh, I forgot about the little. Yeah, the little green balls that were attached to their guns, the little wrist
The
guns.
Zamor spheres.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, they called them something weird. I'm like, dude, this is just a styrofoam ball. All right, whatever.
Yeah.
And yeah, I
It's a little
remember
marble.
you could launch them from their wrist. That's right. Oh god, my
Yeah.
dad stepped on those so many times.
Ooh.
Even when we
Yeah.
were cleaning out the attic, and we were like, oh hey, that's where these went. And we actually just did a deep clean of the basement not long ago, and I just saw one of the orbs just roll out, and I'm like, oh shit, I was like, oh shit, I ain't seen one of these since 2000, well, 2005 now. I thought it was 2007. I was like, oh shit. I was like, that's cool.
Yeah.
I mean, sadly, it's just a little green ball. I had to throw it away, but still, I was like, huh.
Yeah. Yeah.
Although,
Yeah.
let me ask you this: do you ever just get bored and just Google like the old, like original Bionicle sets, see if you can find any sealed ones on eBay or anything?
1,000%. I actually, this past year, have started the quest of slowly rebuilding up a collection. A couple years ago, I did a big move. I was living in Arizona. I kind of got trapped there during like the peak of the pandemic.
Mhm.
And I had basically my entire, childhood Bionicle collection there, which was not small.
Right.
I didn't have everything, but it was a lot of big bins, and I, just needed a lot of money. So I sold them all off, and that was interesting. I did get a fair chunk of change for them all, but in the recent year, I've realized like, I miss these guys. I miss these guys really bad. So I've slowly, and I've like had to like put up guardrails around myself because I'm already really bad with money and I'm already very poor, of just like, if something pops up, on like Facebook Marketplace or eBay, I have alerts now for when somebody uploads it and it's like, less than 30, I'll pick it up. I'll get over my social anxiety and go meet somebody at their pickup truck and get a tiny, like McDonald's tie-in Matoran or something. And it's gone okay so far. I've got all 6 of the original Toa, which I never had as a kid. I kind of jumped in at 2002, the second year. So I
Yeah.
missed a lot of like the early stuff. And I spent my whole life being very covetous of that first couple of waves. And I've got a couple of things I bought recently. My most recent one was Toa Vakama, who I think, kind of going back to the first question, is my favorite Bionicle character, and he is also one of the red ones, but he's actually where I got the name for like my crafting channel, my store, CrossWiredCrafts, because there's a part that I love in Bionicle 2, and I quote it to my partner all the time, where he's just like, "I'm just a cross-wired freak who has weird dreams." Very
Yeah, that
overdramatic.
was. Yep. Okay, yeah, I
Yeah.
remember that line now. Okay, thank you. I'm over here
Oh yeah,
like I
just
remember
unlocking.
Bionicles, and God, such a good, it's such a good franchise. And the sad part is all these younger generations are gonna be like, "What's Bionicles?"
Yeah, and it was kind of, it came out in such a specific era that, if they did bring it back, like, I almost would want them to do something completely different. Generation
Uh,
2 half attempted that, and I think that's the reason why it kind of flopped. It got canceled again right after a year, 2015. They were like,
was that
Bionicle's
the
back.
Hero Factory?
Hero Factory actually was between the two. It was 2010 was the last year of Bionicle proper, and then they immediately launched into Hero Factory, which used like a lot of recycled Bionicle pieces.
That I do remember.
Yes, yeah. I feel kind of bad. I never got into Hero Factory. Mostly, like I said, I was bitter about Bionicle's cancellation. I was like, this is a pretender to the throne.
Well, and I agree with you too. Me and my oldest brother, we were the same way. But then my brothers below me. So just to give you a little background check, including me, I have 5 brothers. So my oldest brother and me, we grew up on Bionicles, and the other 3 below us, especially the youngest ones, the twins, were big into Hero Factory. And like you said, they literally took it was Hero Factory with literally Bionicles rebranded all the way down to the cool little, I always called it the bank seal because the banks will give you those little sliding tubes to send the check.
Yeah,
I
the
was like,
canisters.
canisters, yeah. See, words are hard for me. And I was like, dude, this is Bionicles. They're like, no, it's Hero Factory. See, Hero. This is Iceman. I'm like, okay, bro. I got mad with them, and they're like, look, it came with like a little comic book, and so I read it.
Yeah.
And here's another old franchise. I was like, dude, this is like Rescue Heroes. It's Bionicles versus
Yeah.
Rescue Heroes, and I just threw it away. I was like,
Yeah, it felt like a response to the monster that Bionicle had become, with having like very deep, inapproachable lore that was hard to like get access to, which was what Bionicle's strength was in its first like couple of years, was like, it's multimedia. You read comics, you go online, you play this game, and you unlock secrets that connect to other things. And then as it went on, it was like, okay, there's 3 movies and then a 4th one made by a different studio, and they're not all technically canon.
yeah,
They're
it gets.
mostly canon. Yeah, and then like all the books and the comics and everything, and then like none of, like, I think 2 of the games ever were canon, and there were like 30 games where like game
God,
developers were
yes.
just like, Bionicles, I don't know, they run around. Like,
Yeah,
there's
we
not a
had.
lot of coordination in the story team.
Yeah, we had one of the original ones during the Mask of Light movie came out. We had that Bionicle tied in for the Game Boy, so where you
Yes,
could,
I love
and
that
they
one.
had a good, yeah. And so we were just running around as the red one, blue one, green one. We were like, it's just to beat 'em up. Cool. So it's, man, I don't know, man. I miss Bionicles sometimes because I'm just like, man. And then and here's another rebranding they try to do, which I kind of don't like, or maybe it's just me. Is with the Marvel Hero line, just next time you go to a big superstore, Walmart, Target, or whatever, just go into the Lego section. You'll see like a Wolverine, a
Oh
Magneto,
yeah.
a Spider-Man. You know what I'm talking about? Have you
I
seen
have,
them?
yeah, I've got one of the Spider-Man ones, and I think I hate it.
Really? I
I put it together. They look cool, but they're not good to play with or hold, and they don't stand up very well. They're not
really.
superposable. Yeah, and I'm worried that if they brought Bionicle back, they do it in that style, like with the
Oof.
bricks and everything, which economically makes sense. But I'm also like, I don't know, this isn't very fun.
Okay, yeah, on the box it just looked like Bionicles again. I was like, oh, they just rebranded. Okay, I'm just like, okay. And my
Yeah,
wife looked at me. She's like, "What's wrong?" I was like, "Don't worry about it. Just let's go. Let's just keep walking. I don't even know
you
why we
wouldn't
came down this aisle. Let's
understand.
go." Because sometimes we just
Yeah,
get bored, and we just start walking down there. I forgot how expensive they were.
I
I was
find
like,
myself in the
Jesus.
toy aisle. Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're going up. Lego is constantly getting more expensive, and they've tried to get ahead of that by like switching completely to boxes.
Mm,
Bionicle G2 had only boxes, no more canisters, because
yeah.
towards the end of Generation 1, the canisters were like driving up the prices because they were all like uniquely designed and had their own plastic elements and things, which was fun. But yeah, Lego is so expensive, and it's the kind of thing where I'm worried, because I'm also a Transformers fan.
Oh yeah.
And
Me too.
I'm not, yeah, and I'm not a huge fan of where the the toys are right now, which might feel weird for other adult Transformers fans to hear, but hopefully there's a couple people who are like, this is what I've been thinking too, is that they have the Studio Series line going on right now where
I'm a
they are.
little out of date with Transformers, but go ahead.
Oh
I'm
yeah.
listening.
Oh yeah. So Studio Series is basically a line that's geared towards adult collectors. That's like, oh, there's a character from like one of the Michael Bay movies that didn't get a proper toy at that time. We're gonna do one, and we're gonna like redo it essentially. So they will just pick any show or any movie from throughout Transformers history and do like an upgraded version of it. They've also started doing that with like deep cut like comic book characters and things, which is like cool on paper to me. But that's most of what Transformers is now. It's like that, and then like gimmick toys for babies, which is fine. I really want babies to be into Transformers, but they're not good. It's like you'll have like this like $50 like Studio Series, Nova Prime, and it's like this character that has never been in a cartoon, has never been in a movie. I guess, well, mentioned in Transformers 1 now, which is its own thing, but
Yeah, for real.
yeah, and then like the toys for kids are like one step change Bumblebee, and you push on it and it immediately breaks.
Listen, man, and we knew growing up, if you ain't sitting there trying to solve an origami puzzle with your Transformer, are you really playing with it?
Yeah, that I feel like that was. It's just like with Lego and Bionicle. I feel like they're learning the wrong lessons from like failed previous versions, where they're like, okay, well, the transformations, especially during the Michael Bay movies, got maybe a little too complex for kids. Let's simplify it a bit. And I think they've overcorrected so strongly that now their main demographic, like most of their resources, are geared towards not gathering new fans, but just pleasing old fans, which can be fun for a minute. But I'm also like, there's no future in this. This isn't sustainable, which is kind of why I feel like low key my hot take is that Transformers is dying. It is on life support as a brand.
I mean,
and probably has been for a while.
I kind of agree with you in that sense, like 100%. I can't really disagree with you because I do feel like Transformers 1, in my opinion, before I watched the movie, this is my opinion before I watched the movie. When Transformer 1 first came out, and you had Chris Hemsworth and I forget the other guy's name, which I'm like, okay, these are A-listers. They just got A-listers, and it's just a cash grab. But then I watched the movie, and I enjoyed it. I was like, wow, I'm not going to sit here and say it's like, oh,
good.
it's, yeah, I'm not going to sit here and say it's reward worthy, but I was like, wow, I came in here thinking I was going to hate this movie. I was like, it's not half bad.
Yeah.
Just the only thing I hate, warning, this is going to have spoilers. So if you haven't watched Transformers 1 yet, click pause, go watch it and come back.
A year-old movie.
Well, there's always that one person. You spoiled it for me.
Most people have not watched Transformers 1, according to the box office numbers, unfortunately.
Really? I thought it did good.
It did okay, which, the box office numbers are their own monster in that regard, but it didn't do well enough. I think like they had plans for sequels, but doesn't seem like it's happening.
Oh man, they set up for a sequel.
Yeah, which is a bummer because like Transformers 1 is easily the best Transformers movie.
Yeah, it's good.
A very high bar, but it made me feel things,
I thought it was. I feel like Transformer 1, in my opinion, when you talk about an origin story, I thought it was a good origin story.
Yeah, they kind of nailed it.
And I was kind of to get young fans in. Yeah, like I said, I was like you. I was worried about it.
Yeah,
I was like you. I was like, this movie's gonna be bad, and I'm like, oh, well, that wasn't that bad.
Yeah, one of my favorite film critics, his name is David Sims. He writes for The Atlantic. He was on a podcast talking about movies that had come out in the past year, and he was talking about Transformers 1. He's like, have you guys seen this? It's pretty good. And they're like, what, really? And he's like, yeah, you start out the movie and Optimus Prime is like, I wish I could transform, and you're like, and then by the end you're like, I can't believe Megatron would do that.
He really did. I was like, wow, bro,
it really
like
takes
you just did that.
Yeah,
I just thought it was funny when he I know exactly what scene you're talking about. He's like, I wish I could transform, and he's like, when he gets captured at the beginning, he's like, oh yeah, and he transforms halfway, and then he just runs off. I'm like,
I love that.
That was good. I was like, okay, that's kind of comedic.
Oh yeah.
But I'm a stickler for editing, so I'm like, what the editing just bothered me. I was like, that's a weird jump cut, but I was like, okay, whatever. But I was like, okay, that's good comedic timing. And then,
Yeah.
yeah,
And it's
dang,
a
I was hoping for a
shame that the
sequel.
Transformers brand, yeah, it's a shame that the brand is where it is right now. Because they're kind of now like reconfiguring the whole movie side of things, and then like the Paramount Skydance merger is probably also going to complicate everything.
Oh my god,
I
yes.
I had yeah, and I had been of the opinion that the movies were good again because like there's the Michael Bay movies, right? I have a
You're
really
allowed to
soft
speak your
spot
opinion.
for yeah, I have a soft spot for the first one and maybe parts of the third one. And then the rest make me want to wash my eyes and ears with bleach. And I got sick of
The
them
fourth
very
one,
quickly. Oh
yeah, the fourth
boy.
one's with Mark
Yeah.
Wahlberg, right? 4 and 5 is with
Yep.
Mark Wahlberg, right?
4 and 5 are Mark Wahlberg, where he's like, "What are you talking about?" And they're like King Arthur's court, and I'm like, "Why are we getting into King Arthur? What are we
I
doing here?"
mean, I agree. Okay, I'm kind of like you. Yes, I have a soft spot for him because eh,
Yeah.
at the time they were cool, and like I'll watch them. I'm like, yeah, I don't care. I watch them,
Yeah.
and
The first one
and
is
we've
very watchable.
extremely. Second one also watchable. Third, I kind of agree with you. I think the third one they should have just, they had a narrative for the third one, and maybe Dark Side of the Dark Side of the Mood, Dark Side of the Moon probably should have been a good conclusion, right?
Yeah. Yeah, or at the very least, the best spot for Michael Bay to step away, do something else, let somebody else step in. And I think it's a shame because Bumblebee was kind of a reboot, but they
Yeah,
didn't really advertise it
rebooted.
as one.
And they were like, it's a prequel, and I was like, how?
Yeah, how? That makes no sense.
And with all the new character designs, I'm like,
Yeah, like the aesthetic of like Bumblebee and Rise of the Beasts, like I
yeah,
love.
it's
Like it feels like the perfect like pulling back a bit from like the, barbed wire mass mess of metal that the Michael Bay movies usually had into something that was like they're blocky like G1, but they're still complicated and you can still see they look like machines that make sense, which I've loved. I've kind of tried to capture that same feeling in like my Bionicle cosplay for plans that I have for other things, and also for like my kit bashes of characters that I'm doing out of like Gunpla and other things. There's like a really cool design language that's about like the tension between like the big flat smooth surface areas and then like the nitty gritty little greebles and gears and wires and things. But it's a shame because I'm like Bumblebee and Rise of the Beasts are pretty okay movies.
it's okay. Oh, speaking of Power Rangers, it was funny when I was setting up in here. So another one that I really like is Tubi, and
Mm,
and it's funny that we're on Power Rangers and Transformers because last night before I went to bed, I turned on Tubi and the first generation of Transformers is on there, and I just hit play. She's like, "What are you do?" My wife's like, "What are you doing?" I was like, "I'm falling asleep to Transformers." Why? I don't know. And then while I was plugging everything up, she walks in the room. She's like, "Have you been watching Power Rangers?" I was like, "Yeah." She's like, "Yeah, Tubi thinks I have a kid now, and they're recommending all these kid cartoons to me." Okay,
yeah.
well, I'm still
I
watching it.
have my partner and I share a YouTube just on our Roku. It's just my YouTube account, and we both just use it all the time whenever we want to watch YouTube on the TV. And leading up to the release of both Rise of the Beasts and Transformers One, I was basically exclusively watching Transformers like deep dive lore videos,
Oh
and
yeah,
it like absolutely thrashed our algorithm, and it got so confused. It was like, interior decorating, art painting process, and then it would be like, all the times Optimus Prime has died, or like, a deep dive into the Silver Age of Cybertron, or like the colony
yeah, I
worlds of
know.
Cybertron, and all these things, and like Beast Wars, and it was
I
just you'd be scrolling through, and you're like, I don't know who owns this account. This is maybe a lunatic.
I remember this one story. It's while me and my wife were dating. So, I coach for a living too outside of this. So like, I never know where I'm gonna be any year. I could be, I've coached in the Midwest. I've coached in
Yeah.
Georgia, North Dakota. Like I don't know where I'm gonna be. And one day while me and my wife were dating, I was on her YouTube channel, and I was like hyper focused on Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. So I was like, history of the Foot Clan.
Yeah.
Why
Oh
do they
yeah.
wear color bandanas? So she'll text me. She's like, Why do I have a video about why April O'Neil is so hot in 1987 on my YouTube algorithm? I don't know. I guess YouTube thinks you must think April from the 1987 cartoon's hot, man. I don't
Yeah.
know. And
Methinks the YouTube doth protest too much.
and she is like, log into your own account when you come to the house. Yes, ma'am.
Don't
And
cross the streams.
oh yeah, we do. Oh, as soon as we got, as soon as we moved into this apartment, as soon as we got married, she looked at me. She's like, log into your YouTube account right now. I'm just like, okay. She's like, I do not want to hear about TMNT, Power Rangers, Transformers, because and honestly, lately Power Rangers, I'm such a big Power Ranger fan. So like with the whole movie thing and Hasbro selling them, I'm just like, what's going on? Are we gonna?
Yeah.
And
Yeah, that's also in a weird spot right now, that brand.
let me ask you this: what was your favorite team growing up? Do you have a favorite season?
Yeah, so my relationship with Power Rangers is weird. I was super into it when I was like 5. I remember in kindergarten, it was like the only thing I cared about. I think this was
Same.
like a year before Bionicle happened, but it really primed me to love teams of primary colored heroes. Just really lights up that part of my brain. I never really, I think the one that was on when I was a kid was the, what's it called? It's the one where they're time cops.
Oh, Time Force, yeah. Dude, trust
Time
me,
Force.
lately when I'm telling you I've been watching them, I just finished Lost Galaxy
Mm.
2 days ago, and Tubi was like, all right, you finished that one. The next season's Lightspeed Rescue. And I'm like, bet. And that's why my wife came in. She's like, you've been watching Transformers? Have you been watching Power Rangers? Yeah, I've been watching
Are
a
you
lot.
okay? What's going on? Do I
Oh,
need to
no,
call someone?
my wife knows I'm a big Power Ranger fan. She learned early
Yeah.
on when we were dating. She's like, okay. And then that's when she's like, stop looking at Power Ranger lore. I'm
There's
just like,
something
never.
it's the one thing I have to give Ronald Reagan credit for is that his decision to make it legal to market directly to children did so much bad for the world, and probably when you zoom out cosmically, even giving me things that I love that are part of my personality, like Power Rangers, Transformers, Bionicle, like, is probably on a cosmic level bad. But I would not be the person I am today without good old RR,
I know,
a
right?
man who I hope rots in hell.
Well, it's just, and I have a sports management degree, and I had to study marketing, and it's funny. The toys that makes us. Have you seen that on Netflix?
Yes, yeah, I was there day one.
That they do a really good job about talking about marketing in the 80s and 90s. And I was like, and I learned my very first lesson into marketing was, yeah, market to children, your biggest demographic, children. And
Mm-hmm.
and it was funny in the class we were talking about, and the professor did use a good example. He said the TMNT, when TMNT came out, when Power Rangers came out, they're like, what do they use? Explosions, sounds, ninjas, kung fu, like all the stuff that kids are like. And now there's an argument, and we both know the demographic changed. Of course, back then marketing, Barbie was for girls, Superman, Batman's for boys. Where now it's like, hey, everybody can play with whatever.
Yeah, which is nice. Yeah. There is an interesting thing with Bionicle and gender that has been kind of a phenomena lately. There's so like the characters, especially like in that first wave with the
Mm.
team of 6, because the toy designers were not really in contact with the story team at all. They were just like, here's a guy, what's their deal? And then, Greg Farshtey, who wrote like the books and the comics and did the story treatments for the movies, had to be like, okay, well, this is this person, and they have this whole thing going on, and they have these 17 powers, and this is the amount of people they've killed.
I mean, it's just like, dude,
Bionicle lore is crazy.
they're just
But
the toy team's just sitting there. They're like, dude, this guy's just blue with a boomerang. Well,
we
the
just
guy with
made
the
a blue
blue,
one.
yeah, we just made a blue one with a boomerang. Well, he's killed like 20 people.
Yeah. He's
Oh
had to
my.
betray his own ethics time after time. He's afraid of the monster he's become in his quest for justice. But like visually, the toys were not like distinctly gendered at all. Like there weren't like secondary sex characteristics except for one. And every Bionicle fan knows immediately who I'm talking about, which is Rudaka in Bionicle 3, who's like the sexy, evil, seductress snake spider lady with the ponytail
Oh,
and the high heels.
that's right. I had her. I mean, I was like
Yep.
the
Oh
name,
yeah.
another name. I had to do a
Oh
little
yeah.
memory deep dive.
Yep.
Or
Bionicle fans are very normal about Rudaka.
there's worse
But
things.
like,
There's worse.
inarguably, you hit it right on the head. But with characters like Golly, from like the first wave, like they weren't designing any of them to look feminine except for Rudaka. And there are a lot of people all across the gender spectrum who were drawn to Bionicle for that reason. And there's been like whole essays written about like, how come so many trans women were Bionicle fans? Like, what? Is Bionicle doing something? I think it's more that like there are things in Bionicle that people who were more likely to discover that about themselves were inherently drawn to. Like the non like visually identifiable gender was probably something that was like, I can project onto this. It doesn't look away that but also there is like a lot of like body modification in Bionicle as a result of them needing to make more toys. It started in 2002 when the Toa Mata became the Toa Nuva, and they got like the silver armor, like the upgrade. And then in Web of Shadows, famously 2005, when the Toa Metru got mutated into bestial forms that were a little more edgy.
Yeah, with I feel like somewhere in my comic book collection, I think I remember Bionicle 3 with their Animorphs thing, and I'm like, that's how I can always remember the Bionicle series. It's like Mask of Light. Second one was the second one where they were riding on surfboards.
So they have in the first movie in Takoro Tawahi, the Tamatoran do surf on lava. There is that scene where Tahu comes in with his lava surfboard and is like, Chronicler. I have these movies memorized.
Okay, man. I'm thinking of the first one then. Okay.
Yeah. But they do have in Bionicle 2 like these big like chute systems, which are like these big liquid tubes, and there's a whole sequence where they're zipping around in one of those.
Okay, that's
kind of
that's the second one too. Okay, I'm getting the first one, and the second one mixed up. Yeah, it's always that one to me, and then the weird spiders, and I'm like, the fuck. Okay,
you're
cool.
Like, why is this one horny?
Get back.
I have to say, personally, I adore Bionicle 3 because it's so weird. It truly feels like the movie where like the first one is like very much like, oh, it's a little, it's a hero's journey. It's these two little guys. It's basically Lord of the Rings. It's two little guys
hands
trying
down.
to protect a magical gold object from creepy tall guys who are chasing them. And then like the second one is a bit more like also like hero's journey. It's like, oh, there's a conspiracy in this city and we have to solve it or whatever. And then the third one is just like their bodies have been changed and there's a sexy lady. But it's also like the funniest of the movies. I have a feeling, and I don't know if this is true, but I need to look it up before I keep saying it to everybody, but I will be saying it here on this podcast for posterity. I think the third movie feels different to me than the other ones because they probably let Greg Farshti, who was like the author of the books and the comics, basically write most of the dialogue for that one himself, because the dialogue in the books and the comics is very like punchy and like very much based on like characters owning each other. It's very I was telling somebody about this. It feels very George R.R. Martin weirdly, where like every scene between villains ends with like some kind of complicated threat where I'm just like, what? And then you watch Bionicle 3 and I'm like, they're talking the same way. That's why everybody's so sassy, but also it's weirdly horny. It's a perfect film. 10 out of 10. Best picture.
Lord, all the young viewers are going to be sitting on YouTube. Bionicle 3.
Yeah, do not Google Rudaka. There's some fan art out there. Yeah, I'll just leave it at that.
Wait, never type in a character's name and type in Rule 34.
Yeah, that might also be a reason why Lego is hesitant to bring Bionicle back again and introduce it to newer young fans, which is like they're going to be Googling Bionicle a lot and there's going to be some stuff they find. But yeah.
All right, Devin, get on track. I'm sorry. This has been fun. I've not thought about Bionicles really in years, so this has been great.
It's all I think about all the time. I have a problem.
I don't know. When you're passionate about something, there's nothing wrong about it.
I guess that's true.
So just to talk about your voice acting aspect to you, what got you into voice acting?
Sure. Well, I guess like everybody did a play in high school and was like, I like this. I ended up going to college for theater. I
Mm,
got like a theater degree with an acting emphasis. It was like a very intensive program that I am only
mm.
now, just like everybody else, unpacking the trauma from and realizing all the ways in which the teachers taught us in a way that was bad. But I always wanted, I love being on stage. I'd really love to be on camera more, mostly because one of the recurring notes I would get from professors when I was acting on stage was like, "You're acting too small. We can't hear what? Your
I
expressions
feel
are
that.
too like subtle and calculated," which I think more suited to camera for that. But I always wanted to do voice acting as part of the degree. So I had always, in my training was like, how can I reapply this back into, maybe being in a, I love cartoons, like being in a cartoon, being in an anime, one of my favorite anime voice actors is Alejandro. Oh, what's his last name? Like Giuliasani, I think. And he was the voice of L in the Death Note dub. He was
Yep, that's
also
the
the
right name.
voice
Yep.
yeah, and he was also the voice of Vakama in Bionicle 2 and 3, which when I realized that, it blew my mind. And yeah, I don't know. I think it's part of my fixation with children's media, but also like in the ways that I have the same thing about like genre movies and like genre TV shows. And like big blockbusters and things is my big defense of them as somebody who is not as much of a like snobby film guy as he would like to be. I would like to be, but unfortunately, I am cartoon pilled through and through, is that I think, and this is the same way I feel about musical theater,
Mm.
the heightening of things like tonally, in like children's media or like, fantasy, sci-fi, all these things, I think leaves a person more opened up to receiving and feeling like deeper emotions and like deeper truths, so I actually feel like, these big blockbustery things, fantasy, sci-fi, all these silly little kid things are actually great vessels for good impactful art, because when you're watching them you kind of let your guard down more than you would when you're watching like, what's a Oppenheimer. When you
Never
go to
seen
watch
it.
Oppenheimer, oh yeah, I still have not. I really
I
should. I feel like I should, but I think it'll bum me out. I think that's my problem.
my dad and my youngest brothers went to go see it. They saw it in theaters and they looked at me. They're like, Devin, you wouldn't be able to sit through this. They're like, it's so long. I was like, okay. And another really good movie that I tried to sit through was Sinners came out 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Have you finished that one?
Oh, I love Sinners.
I couldn't finish it.
Oh
I got
yeah.
an hour in. Well, I had a show that day, and I got an hour in because I'm usually on show days. I had a local show, so I was able to stay at home for a long time. And usually, what I do, I like to relax, I like to go to sleep. That movie
Yeah.
put me to sleep.
Relaxing is tough. I got really into David Lynch a year ago.
Mhm.
Just, a bit before he died. So by the time he died, I got familiar enough with his work to go, no, and I love his stuff, but it did always make me fall asleep. It just kind
I'm
of
telling you.
lulls you into that. And it didn't mean it was bad. It was just like, if you're tired, if you're like in a certain headspace, it can kind of hypnotize you and just, which, might be a good thing if you're somebody like me who does not know how to rest.
Yeah, oh, same way. My
Yeah.
wife tells me all the time. She's like, "You're gonna get burned out." I'm like, "No, I'm not." Next thing you know, or you just like, gosh, let me tell you, I'm sure
Yeah.
you get like that being in your booth. It's like you can't
Yeah.
you talking to a mic for an hour and a half to two. I'm sure you probably do more. You got like just a killer headache. I'm sitting there laying on the couch. Oh God, my head. God,
Yep.
what I smashed them 2 beers before the set, before my show. God, I shouldn't have took that third one. And then you got the speakers behind, which I'm sure your headphones get like this. You got the speakers behind your head. You got people,
Mhm.
and you're just like, God, I'm getting too old for this.
Yeah. Yeah. A lot going on from all
But
angles.
yeah, but Sinners was good, and I enjoy Michael B. Jordan's acting in general because he's come a
Mhm.
long way, and that's a good movie. I got to finish it. I did try to start. I tried so hard to start this one because I like the idea of it. Death of a Unicorn. I tried to start that this morning.
Yeah, I forgot about that one.
I thought it bombed, but it's on HBO Max right now, and it's got 4 stars. I was like, oh, I thought you bombed. I I can't focus. I was trying so hard today. I was like,
Yeah.
okay, Paul Rudd is a dad, runs over a unicorn in like 5 minutes. It lost me after that. I was like, damn, you lost me.
Well,
Oh
and
man.
Sinners is kind of the perfect example of kind of the thing that I've been thinking about and talking about with like genre fiction, because that's like, can we use, the silly mythical idea of vampires to like get at like a deeper truth? And
Oh
I
yeah,
think it was so good.
did.
And I truly think, and maybe I'm in my head about it like I am frequently about a lot of things, but I feel like there is kind of this bias against quote unquote popular media. I say that now as somebody who's like, still watches every Marvel thing, but will always talk shit about Marvel constantly, or Star
Right.
Wars. I love Star Wars. I will talk the most shit about Star Wars. And then when other people say it, I'm like, hey, no, that's my friend. I'm the one who yells at him.
Well, I you kind of hit the nail on the coffin because they did a pretty good. I think, and I did pay attention to the first 30 minutes of it before I fell asleep. It did do. I think it did pretty. And I told people this. I'm like, yeah, I call it a slow burner. Like you got to pay attention, but it does a good job of, especially being set in the 30s in Mississippi. It shows the roots of bluegrass and African American culture. And I was like, it's
Yeah.
pretty neat with their
Yeah.
mythos with the Crossroad Demon, because I know about the Crossroad legend when they're like, and I forget his name, but like, this is old buddy's guitar. I'm like, don't you touch that guitar, bro. Bro. Don't you touch that guitar. Like, bro, there's a
Yeah.
reason. Just yeah, I gotta
It's
finish
funny
it. Like,
because, yeah, well, like the first hour, I think there's little to no vampire stuff.
correct.
And then it's mostly just like, hey, they're getting everybody together and they're gonna set up the juke house and it's all gonna be perfect. And I turned to my partner and I was like, I love a movie where everything works out. And then as soon as I said that, the vampires showed up
Pop
and I was
up.
like, oh, right, a vampire movie. Everybody's gonna die.
Well, I don't even think they marketed it as a vampire movie for the longest time.
Mm. Yeah, the
I don't think
marketing for that
so.
one was a little weird. There's been a lot of discourse about the marketing and reporting about Sinners box office, because they were like, Sinners isn't doing as good as the studio hoped. And then everybody else was like, it's doing great. Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, I don't know. It's one of those movies where I feel like it's going to be one of those movies as we talk about it. We're going to, like, 2 or 3 years from now, it's going to be like a cult classic. And you're like,
Yeah.
okay. But
Yeah.
yeah, I got to finish it because HBO Max right now is like, hey, you want to finish this? Maybe
Yeah.
later.
Yeah.
Maybe
I
later.
I really got to be in the mood for something that's a slow burn when I start it.
Yeah.
Which is harder and harder to do these days. I feel like just because we're on a constant stimulus loop flush down the toilet with our attention all the time.
So, continuing on the voice acting journey, what is a
Oh,
dream
yes.
character you would love to voice? Sorry, I know. I'm like you. I'm like,
Oh, you're good. I am, yeah, like I said, attention span.
see, this is what happens when Kyle leaves me alone. Trust me. I had interviewed a cosplayer yesterday, and we did the exact same thing. I'm like, PlayStation 2?
Oh, yeah.
He's like, PlayStation 2. But yes, what
Okay.
voice actor what character would you love? What is your dream voice character?
My pie in the sky is Spider-Man. And it could be in anything. Like, it could be in like a mobile game. It could be, a cartoon. Like, a Spider-Man in a cartoon is my dream. But even if it was just like one time and like, like a kid show, like, Spider-Man and Friends, where it's just like, we gotta stop this guy, I'd be happy with that. Yeah, Spider-Man is like number one. And then like just below that, any Transformer, any Bionicle character, which I've kind of gotten to do a version of already, which is, been really fun and really trippy, even if they're not official.
Right. Ain't nothing wrong with
But
that.
yeah.
There's so many of these studios that do unofficial work. Ain't nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, and it's really good. I don't know how much you know about the whole Masks of Power game fiasco that went down recently with Lego and this fan game.
I heard about it once, and
Yeah.
then I don't know, man. I'll say this,
There's a lot going on.
and there is a lot going on. So I have a Google Pixel, and my Google
Same.
Pixel will give me articles. Yeah, okay, good. So you know how it does.
Yeah.
It was giving me articles about that when that happened. It gave me a little article. Then I lost it, and then TikTok, man, TikTok. Ever since and we talk to creators all over the country, all over the world. I'm like, yeah. Ever since we got thrown in timeout, the algorithm just hasn't been the same for me. So stuff that I used to like isn't popping up, and we've even had creators on our show that like I don't even see anymore, and I'm like, did they delete their stuff? And then I type them in, and I'm like, oh no, they're still here posting like they normally do. I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
weird.
It's nonsense. Trying to tame the algorithm is a nightmare. And it's almost I found it's better to worry about the algorithm as little as you can and just make sure that you are having fun, and then hopefully somebody will find your stuff and also have fun watching you do it. That said, I have been like, what hashtags do I need to use? I do
So
break my own advice constantly.
I'm be honest with you, I can't figure out Facebook yet. I figured out Instagram, YouTube a little bit because YouTube is so old. But TikTok, I'm like you, I gave up. I'm like,
Yeah.
whatever. All right, I'm using these hashtags. I'm using these key
Yeah.
phrases here for the little, little captions. I'm like, go get.
It truly feels random sometimes. Like some days I won't tag something. I'll be posting about like a new mask or a new t-shirt I have, and I'll just be like, I'm tired, or like hit enter before I
Yeah,
do it, and I'm like, why is this one doing better than my other ones that have very specific hashtags that I researched, which is proof to me that I'm like, this is a fruitless effort. Humans weren't designed to try to understand this nonsense math that they have. I don't even think that people
100%.
who run it understand it. And I think we're all the worse off for it.
100%. We've heard this with every creator we've sat down with. They were like, yeah, I don't. I just. They're like early on, I stressed out. Now they're like, man, fuck it,
Yep.
throw it out
Yep.
there.
Because that becomes its own job. And I don't want that to be my job. That sounds fucking horrible.
Oh yeah, no. There's some days where I was like you. I was doing that too recently, and then I just gave up. I was like, okay, this little strategy works here, and then like you said, then I forgot to do something, and then it took off, and I'm like, I give up. I'm just here.
Yeah,
You go,
it
people.
almost feels like the more effort you put in to try and make something, trend, the less likely it is to trend, which,
Oh, 100%.
feels
I'll tell
mythical.
you this. I might delete this. I'm gonna tell you a story. This drives me crazy still, and I'm still getting comments about it. So on my TikTok, I was at an open mic show, and what open mics as a comedians are your best friends. You can try brand new material, right? Screw it. The people got in there for free. No one's gonna be mad at you. And this joke bombed, and I had about 2 weeks before my next show. But as a comedian and as a content creator, we got to post something. And sometimes when I'm sitting on a joke, or sometimes I'm looking at a joke that didn't do good in a crowd, will kill somewhere else. So I'm like, I'm gonna post it on TikTok. Sitting at like 5,000 views and still climbing. And so many trolls and people were like,
Yep.
you should word it like this. This is bad, bro. You should quit. Well, bro, how about you stop hiding why don't you stop having pictures of SpongeBob as your profile and stop making your account private? Like all them trolls, bro. They drive me absolute crazy. I'm like, dude, shut up.
That's the thing. It's truly like a double-edged sword. Had recently my latest crafting video I did has kind of blown up on YouTube, at least with like the niche Bionicle community, and I went from like 400 subscribers to like 2,000 in like 3 days, which was crazy. It hasn't kept up that rate since then, but
Yeah.
and with that, like, thankfully there haven't been a lot of like straight up trolls. There was one guy who like, took issue with like a tiny little trans flag I put in the corner at one point, and he was like, "You just lost a subscriber." I'm like, "Cool, I have 1,800 more that are walking through the door as we speak. You're gonna have to wait your turn to use the same door as them." But the
Yeah.
other thing
Oh.
that has come with that I haven't didn't really expect,
Mm.
and I'm still trying to process how I feel, is like unsolicited advice from people who I'm like don't really know what they're talking about. I'm trying to be as nice as I can about it. But like people who are like, why didn't you use this material? You should have tried using this, and I'm like, okay, that's not what anyone should use for that. I don't know why
Yeah.
I don't know. And it comes from a good place. And I feel like a lot of Bionicle fans online, especially, don't have a lot of social skills. So I try to be chill about it. But every now and then,
Yeah.
I'm like, there's only so many more times I can hear that my robot cat that I made looks like a Zoid before I, throw my
Yeah.
phone
Lose
into
it.
the ocean. Yeah.
I yeah, so for me, and I'm gonna delete this whole segment, don't worry. So for me, before I got into the comedy war, before we
You can
really
keep
started
mine.
doing this, yeah, um,
I want them to hear it.
before that works for me. Before I got into comedy, I did coaching, and dude, I constantly have people telling me my whole career, you suck, you suck. You're terrible. You should be fired. I'm gonna fire you. And then stand up, I just hear, this joke sucks. You're not funny, bro. You should not do this. I'm like, bro, were you in the crowd? No, you weren't. Shut up. But I'm like you. There's only some, like, you can only ignore him so much. And then I just turn off my phone. I'm like, pfft. And then some were like, I'm like, bro, I get harassed by 40-year-old fat men in the stand. You think you're gonna sit there being like, you think your bit emoji is Donkey Kong saying I suck's gonna bother me? Yeah. Anyways, I'm gonna piss you off by posting 2 more joke videos.
That's the thing. Actually, I have found that to be a major creative motivation is spite and
Yeah.
pettiness. And so
I
actually
just,
that is yeah.
I just laugh because I'm like, dude, you weren't there. You weren't
Yeah.
there. And then, like I said, I got like 40-year-old men yelling at me on like a Friday night or
Yeah.
a Saturday afternoon. You suck. You're gonna get fired. I'm gonna get you fired. Okay, bro. At this point, I'm like, please do.
Please. I would love to I invite the attempt.
Dude, I remember there was one time I took off because the headsets we wear are kind of like the voice actor headsets that you have. You can't hear nothing. But one game, I kind of, this is early on in my coaching career, I kind of regret it. But one game, I was kind of like this, and I could just hear somebody behind the fence just yelling and me, because I coached D line at the time, and D linemen are the bigger guys in football up front. And he's like, hey, bro, your D linemen need to use their hands. Hey, man, your D lineman just got pancake. And he just kept going on like every drive. And I just snatched the headset off. I said, motherfucker, you want to come do this shit? Get down here and fucking do it. Like, I wanted to throw the $5,000 headset at him. I'm like, you fucking do this shit. And,
Yep.
but now as I've gotten older, I'm like, okay, buddy, okay.
And that's an interesting thing with like fan art, which is mostly what I traffic in, is like the backseat driving feels especially silly because I'm like, you can literally do your own version of this, you know. I've been working on like a tarot card series of fan art that are Bionicle inspired, and occasionally I get people who are like, why didn't you use this character for this card and blah blah blah, and I'm like, you know, it should have been this, you should have done it this way, and I'm like, you can do that. You can, no one is stopping you.
Facts. I'm like,
Yeah,
I
this is
I
like
just love
my specific take on this. Yeah.
And that's, yeah, we've had another artist say that to us too. It's like, then you do it. Oh, I don't know how to draw. Shut
I'm
up and
sure
enjoy it.
cosplayers get that all the time too, where, you know, especially like, you know, if like they're black and they're cosplaying like a character who's lighter skinned. I see that all the time where they get comments, they're like, this character isn't black, and they're always like, what?
Yeah, we've had um yeah, we've had that with a couple of cosplayers that we've brought on our show in the past say that too. I had one yesterday, and this is interesting because I asked them about that because where me and Kyle are from in the Atlanta area, we do see a lot of comments like that in
Yeah,
our cosplay community down here in the South. And the guy I had yesterday, he's from Nevada, and he's like, "No, we don't see that." I was like,
what?
"Must be nice," because he's an African American man, and he's cosplay as white characters in the past. He's like, "I get no hate." I was like, "Huh, well, good for you."
I guess
But
Nevada's where the party's at.
yeah, no, I asked him yesterday. I was like, "You got any crazy con stories?" And he's like, "No, ours are pretty chill." I was like, "Come to Atlanta, come to Atlanta."
What?
Come to Atlanta.
Just smooth sailing. Wow. Way to go, Nevada. I never would have guessed.
Yeah, I was like, really? And then I'm just like, well, have you had this happen? And like, I'll give him details of other words are cosplay players that we brought on our show about when they go to Atlanta or New York. And he's like, what? I was like, he's like, dude, that's terrible. And the sad part is he's like, yeah, I want to come to Dragon Con and MomoCon. I was like, cool, man, see you there. But he was like, gotcha. But I mean, but yes, that is kind of the one sad thing you see in the cosplay community. You do see a lot of gatekeeping Riverside. I was editing his video yesterday or this morning, and Riverside thought he said gay-keeping, and I was like, only in Riverside. So gate.
You gotta keep them.
Well, it's funny. I took a
mine.
picture. Well, I just thought it was funny this morning when I was editing his video. I was like, gatekeep, and I took a picture of it. But I'm sitting here like, gate. Enunciate, Devin.
Enunciation. Yeah.
Riverside has fun with our accents sometimes, man. I'm telling you. When I go back and just read the transcripts, or if I accidentally miss one, I watch through the captions. I'm just like, how did you? Okay. And it just made me laugh because they're like, he's like, yeah, everybody love one another. And then I just see he's like, yeah, just love one another, and then don't gatekeep. I'm like, gatekeep? What? What is
Share your
gatekeep?
gaze. There's plenty gay to go around, everybody. I
Protected.
had speaking of diction and enunciation and
Uh
hate comments. What was this, like a year ago now? It was whenever X-Men 97 was coming out.
huh.
And I on my TikTok I do a lot more just ranting about pop culture things, getting into a lot of arguments with very stupid people that I should not be, but I
I
weirdly
mean, it
find it
happens.
fun. You know, it can be fun sometimes, you know. There's always like a threshold where I'm like, oh, this is actually my blood pressure's up. My heart rate is like just resting up here now, and that's not good.
Mm.
But I was talking about X-Men 97, and there's, you know, this character, there was like some weird discourse about it, this character who showed up, who was a member of, like, you know, this mutant hating, basically he was a neo-Nazi, and
Yeah,
he gives this
I'm a fan of the
monologue.
show.
Yeah,
Um,
Ex-Terminator, was that his name?
I think so. Yeah. See,
Yeah.
X Men's pretty cool too because if I forget which documentary is on Disney Plus, dang, because Stanley himself had said that when they were thinking of the X Men, the civil right movement happened, and they were trying to show that to the media and things of that nature. X Men just has a
Yeah.
rich history of that.
Yeah, X-Men is like I've X-Men is something I've rediscovered too in my adult life that I've really gotten into. And as I've become like more politically activated and like wanted more of that sort of thing from like other superhero media, I rediscovering X-Men, I've been like, "Oh, X-Men has just been doing this the whole time and I wasn't
Yeah.
paying attention."
Oh yeah,
And
no,
it's
same thing as an adult. I was like,
yeah.
oh man, because as a kid, you're like, cool, man, the bad guys, and then like the X Men cartoon from the '90s and
Yeah.
'97 does a good job at reflecting that, and I'm like,
Yeah, and
boy,
so Ex-Terminator gives that monologue about like,
uh,
this is the reason why we don't like you mutants. You're always complaining about your problems. And meanwhile, guys like me have real problems. And like there were a lot of people, not a lot, you know, but there was enough to be annoying, I guess is the word that I should use to characterize these, you know, reactionary idiots online who were like, yeah, I'm on this guy's side. He's making great points. And I was on TikTok and I was talking about like trying to unpack this whole situation where I'm like, cool, how have we gotten to the point where a guy is clearly the villain and is like saying things that are untrue? First of all, like he's like, you guys don't have real problems, and I'm like, cool, they are actively being like genocided in the show. Like, I don't know,
yeah,
even in the history of like the 90s cartoon, I'm like, what do you like, he's clearly meant to represent like this kind of person in, you know, our modern day who just lies.
yeah. Oh no, hands on the coffin. I just think the cartoon got so popular because it took, it took pages from the comic and brought it on there. And as an adult,
Yeah.
especially kind of our age group, heck, I was rewatching the '90s cartoon before '97, and I was like, oh, it ain't all pew pew pow. And yes, you raised the nail on the coffin, especially with '97, where they reflected like, hey man, like mutants are getting sent to. I don't think it was Genosha, but they were getting sent to a slave island and things
Yeah.
like that. And I was like,
And I mean,
ooh,
when Chris Claremont was writing that arc about Genosha, like he was talking about like South Africa and apartheid, like it was very unsubtle, which I love.
yeah,
And I mean, Stan Lee, he had this, like, I use this often in my online arguments. And you know
mm,
that's how I get into too many, that I have a weapon I fall back on, which was just this little clipping from like one of his, he would do like these little editorial things in some of the issues that was like Stan's soapbox, where he would like answer like a fan question or just, you know, talk about something that he had on his mind. And one of them was, and I'm paraphrasing, but it was like, we often get, you know, letters from readers asking why our stories are, you know, about current topics and not, you know, purely like escapist fantasy. And one of the things he said was like, listen, escapism is great. You don't have to turn your brain off while you're doing your escapism, actually. And like, if we can like instill you with a bit of knowledge, a bit of empathy while you're over here in Fantasyland, then you can bring that back with you, ideally, into your real life. Which, you know, going back to my whole thing about like genre fiction heightening, allowing a safe place for people to discover more empathy and bring that
right.
back. I think that's a really essential human element that we don't talk about or think about a lot when we talk about, silly little kids cartoons and toys and things. I forgot why I started talking about Exterminator in the first place. But
Oh, dude, it's okay.
all good.
We've been all over the circus track.
I'm gonna take that pin, and I'm back on the pin. So this guy's comment, like, he started getting mad. He's like, "Some of us just like a cool villain, okay?" And one of the things I was saying to him was like, "Okay, there's a difference between saying like I like Red Skull as a villain because I think he's scary, and I think that's an interesting challenge for the heroes, and not I like him because I agree with him and he's a Nazi." Like, those are two very different.
Those are very, very two different things. Like, excuse me?
Yeah, and he came back at me with a devastating insult, which I still think about because it was 100% accurate. Where he was like, "You theater school sounding ass motherfucker."
What? Wait, he called you?
I was speaking.
Wait, say that
Accused
again.
me of using theater voice, like. I think that's how he worded it. He was like, "You got theater voice," which, I mean, he got me. Unfortunately, it's true. I was trained to speak clearly, and it really kicks in when I'm passionate and speaking a million miles an hour.
I'm just trying to
So,
process the
points
insult.
to
Wait,
that guy.
he called you a theater voice ass motherfucker. That's what he
like
said?
that. It was along those lines.
God, he sounds like one of me. He's probably sitting in his back of his pickup truck. That fucking
Yeah.
theater ass motherfucker
And,
can't
like,
use right enunciation.
Yeah, I couldn't come up with a comeback for that didn't sound like elitist and weird. Where I'm like, well, at least I use proper diction. Like,
Well, you should have been
I
like,
had to hand it to him, unfortunately.
well, you should have been like, bro, you must be from the South, bro, because your shit ain't right.
I did think about, and I'm glad I didn't, doing like a reply that was like, "Would you rather I talk like this?"
Oh,
I don't know.
God.
I found it really funny though. He did cut me deep with that one.
I'm just as confused as you are. I'm like, you theater voice ass mother. What?
It's like I can feel my BFA like on the wall behind, just burning a hole into the back of my head. Like, oh no, he knows.
Your degree just has a little tear drop down its face. It's like, oh man, how do you know?
Also, my TikTok bio says actor on it, so I guess he could have just also looked at
Yeah, he's probably like, that guy definitely went to damn theater school. That theater. I'm giving him a thick Southern accent because that's what I imagine. He's just on his pickup truck at a job site. That fuck man, TikTok ain't even cool no more. It's full of a bunch of these theater kids. I'm trying to watch.
Definitely had the lead in Anna Karenina.
Man, I'm trying to watch a dang Billy Ray Cyrus perform honky tonk on my phone, man. Got all these theater kids on it, man. Come on.
And like, I hadn't heard the term theater voice in an online space yet. And as soon as he said theater voice, I was like, oh God, that is a thing, isn't it? No. Yeah, the only time I've conceded defeat.
I can't stop doing this accent. My accent's gotten thicker.
Oh, there you go. There you go.
All right, Devin, there you go. Stop trying to be like Larry the Cable Guy before you offend Larry the Cable Guy. I'm gonna be thinking about this tomorrow when I'm at work because I'm at work tomorrow. That theater kid motherfucker. Oh, that's gonna make my day. I'm gonna be thinking about throughout the day.
I guess I've lost. I've lost the whole argument.
You pretty much have at that point. I'm like, yep. I would have also just turned off my phone and be like, yep, I lost. I'm going. I'm doing something
I can't
else.
recover from that. It's over. I have to leave the internet.
Yeah, you done defeated me. Delete all that years of progress.
And of course, like, he didn't have a profile picture and his username was just a bunch of random letters.
Yeah, I told you. That's one thing about it's one thing about TikTok. TikTok's that one thing where it's like, here you go, here's your account. You're like user ZBQ XYZ, and I'm like, okay. And it's always those ones that just watch it.
Yeah.
So it definitely was a middle-aged man it probably was a middle-aged man on the job site, and he was probably looking at Billy Ray Cyrus songs, and he's like, I want to listen to Billy Ray Cyrus. And then he saw that, and he's like, you damn theater kids taking over my TikTok page.
Why is this twink yelling about X-Men? And I asked myself that same question.
Well, my wife's like, what the hell is he laughing about so? I can't wait to tell my wife that damn theater kid. I'm probably gonna play her this part. I'm like, here, put these. I'm just showing this part of the morning. Here, put these headphones on.
I hope that guy somehow sees this. I hope the algorithm just sends this down the river to him.
Oh,
And he
that would
knows
be
that he
great.
made a
Oh, that would
difference.
be.
Yeah.
I hope he's at home with his wife, Barbara. Barbara,
Yeah.
the damn theater kid, and this really redneck, this traitor redneck's with him, making fun of my accent. Fucking Devin Moore comedy my ass. You suck. You cripple. Spooky
love him.
bro.
I miss him. I hope he's doing well. Unfortunately, he did support a neo-Nazi, and that is the one mark against.
Correct. I also miss him.
Yeah, problematic fave.
I honestly do hope the algorithm just pushes this. I hope when I create, this is probably going to be a clip that I create. Barbara, he's on it again. I need a new phone.
Found me. He found me.
Dang, thank you. I needed this.
Hey, me too.
I needed that. Tell me you're a professional podcaster. I'll go first. All right, last 3 questions I got for you here.
Cool. I'm gonna try to speed through them. I'm gonna be.
No, you're fine. And we're gonna focus on cosplay here. So, what has been the most difficult cosplay prop for you to make?
Wow. That's a tough one. Let's see. I don't think I have any photos of actually some of my older ones that I started doing. I got into cosplay in college, and the first one I did was Kopaka, and it's what kind of kickstarted me on the journey of making masks to sell, because I posted pictures of the mask and people were like, I'd buy that. And I was like, cool, prove it, coward.
Dude, facts.
You know? And I would say probably that mask, that first one I did, because his mask is the most complex out of like the original 6, and it just has a lot of nooks and crannies. It's got like 3 big eye scopes, you know, it's asymmetrical. And this was before I discovered EVA foam, which is what I make, you know, my masks out of now. So I did like a full-on like pepakura, you know, I was scared of using Bondo, so I used like wood filler, and I was just sanding and sanding and sanding, and like by the time I was done, it weighed like 20 pounds. It was so heavy. And like the first con I went to with it, like I stayed up all night. I was like spray painting the mask in the back alley of the hotel I was staying at like 3 a.m. Did not sleep that night. And I, you know, got this mask on. It had like LEDs. I had like a cloak and a sword and a shield that was too heavy, so I ended up not bringing it.
Mm-hmm.
And all throughout the con, like the mask just wouldn't stay on my head. It was too heavy. So I took it off, and like I had to be holding it so people would know that I was a Bionicle, because like otherwise I was wearing like a black morph suit under this armor and this cloak. So it was just like, you know, a cloak head and then just a big Bionicle head that weighed like a bunch. And then every panel I went to, I fell asleep in. And then every time I had to go to the bathroom, I had to unzip the entire morph suit, take everything off.
Yeah.
So I learned my lesson. Yeah, I think that was the most difficult one. Ever since I discovered EVA foam and things have gotten easier, it's just gotten easier, you know. And I know what things to try and what is within my capability, and what things that I'm like, yeah, I'm staying a million miles away from that. Not worth it. Yeah. Anyway.
Awesome. So let me ask this: do you have a dream character you want to cosplay as?
Yeah, well, I guess it's this guy over here. Let me grab him without turning my head too far. So this is Takua, who's the main character in the first Bionicle movie, and this has like LED eyes that I worked hard on.
Oh, wow.
This costume I made is just the mask and like some bracers and gloves, because I was making this to go to a specific party that was like a costume party, and I was like, okay, you know, I have 3 days, and I just threw this together. And I've been thinking about like, because my masks that I make right now don't have a helmet under them. They're just the mask part. And so this is something, especially with the eyes, I've been thinking about doing for years, and had like developed a whole, okay, when I do this, this is how I'm going to do it. And I finally did it with this guy, but it, you know, it was just this, and then arms, and then like matching pajamas that I also sell at my store that just have little Bionicle masks all over them. And that was fun, but I'd like to do the full suit. I have like a Liwa armor that I've been not really committed to doing, but wanting to do. And like my dream Bionicle suit is like full coverage, like head to toe, you know, with like some, you know, material to just make it look seamless, and then like LEDs all throughout, like super complex, you know, like my own design interpretation. And I think I'll get there one day, but for now, pajama Takua is the way to go. And that's
I don't
also part
blame
of
you.
the process and the journey. Yeah, is figuring out what can I get done in this amount of time. And that's sometimes when people do their best work. Unfortunately, it creates bad habits with procrastination.
It do be like that. And let me ask you this: I feel like you might have answered it. What got you into cosplay?
Yeah. I mean, I feel like every kid who's into, comic book characters and, cartoons and Power Rangers is like, I gotta get me something that looks like that or I'm gonna die, you know? And like,
Yeah.
when I was little, I, would be begging my mom to help me make like a really complicated bionicle mask. And she's like, I don't know what any of this is. I don't know what any of this
We're just
means. I'm
going to
doing my
Walmart.
best. Yeah,
You
we're just gonna go
remember?
to Walmart. We're just going to buy you the costume. And I was like, no, the costume's
Well,
inaccurate. We have to make it right. The
I'm
official one
sorry.
is
I
bad.
I just assumed. Did you guys have the WalMarts where growing up? Did you have the WalMarts where you had like in October a whole rack became
Yeah,
costume racks?
like a mini Spirit Halloween.
Yeah. God, so
Yeah,
many.
it was a whole thing. But then, yeah, in
Man.
college, I think it was 2015, which was the year that Bionicle came back briefly for Gen 2. So
Yeah.
it like rewired my brain chemistry because I hadn't thought about Bionicle much throughout all of high school. And then it was just like, I'm back in, it's like it was all yesterday. And I think that was the first year of Salt Lake City Comic Con before they got sued and had to change it to FanX, which is what it is now.
Oh wow.
And I was like, I gotta walk the floor as a Bionicle or I'm gonna lose it. I don't know. It was like a weird impulse, and I did kind of, and that was fun. I guess cons are fun. They're sweaty, and you usually spend most of your time there sweaty, but it's a fugue state most of the time, so you don't even remember it.
That's true. We try to. We went to our first con last year. Try to promote. So, um, just to give a little backstory here. And last year was the first year we ever started bringing people on our show because at the end of 2023, I was able to get all three of our shows, More Sports, my sports show, and Popcorn Buckets, where we review a new movie every Sunday, on Amazon and iHeartRadio. And my wife was like, "Hey, for 2024, you guys should get people on the show." And we were like, "Man, Megan, we're stupid. No one's gonna, no one's gonna have fun. We're gonna get ghosted." And so I was like, "Dude, screw it." So I printed out some business cards. We went to Savannah Amazing Con in Savannah, Georgia. Whew! Yeah, you talk about sweating.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, I've never been so drained, and I'm a social person. And I've never been so drained to where Kyle is more of the brains and he can keep me organized. But dude, it got to the point, and this is a fun little convention story. So we were all exhausted. We were there all day, and I was talking to an artist about getting on the show, and Kyle comes up to me. He's like, "Devin, you need to talk to this guy. There's a guy. He was selling a manga. He was wearing cargo pants, a crimson sweater, but he had a tinfoil wrestling mask." And Kyle was like, "Dude, please, Devin, please get him on the show. Please do all that you can be." And I looked at him. I'm like, "Oh my god!" I was like, "All right, bro, I got you." Dude would not break character, and he was like, "Hello, brother." I'm like, "Hey, man, nice to meet you. My name's Devin Moore. I'm an indie podcast group. Hello, like he would not break character. He's like, "Hello, brother. Do you want to join the revolution?" I'm like, "What the hell's the revolution?" He's like, "Well, brother, we gotta kick the Nazis' ass in these mecha suits," which he was talking about his manga there, where it was literally
could have been real life.
could have been real life, yes. And it was a cool book. It was like, what if the Nazis had Mobile Suit Gundams? And
I asked myself
and I
that
was
question every day.
yeah, and the Wolfenstein's games kind of answers those questions with the high tech stuff. But yeah, he would not break character. I was like, "Dude, sounds great. We want to talk about it on the show." "Come on, brother, you gotta get in a mecha suit so we can join the revolution." Well, I said, "Hey, man, you can join. Well, we can talk about the revolution on my podcast here. See, right here in the middle. Just send us an email." And then he gave me the whole army salute. He's like, "Okay, brother, I'll make sure to do that so we can kick some Nazis."
Man.
And Kyle and my good friend Jay are both sitting there crying, laughing because I'm just done. Like I truly am. Like I have two pet peeves, man. I have really my one pet peeve, and this is why I have one pet peeve. When I'm trying to talk business, please don't be in character. There's a time and place, and I understand that you're trying to sell a book. There's kids around here, but there's no kids. Can we be adults for 30 seconds, please? No, brother, get in the mecha suit and we're gonna shoot down Nazis. Okay, bro, well, this is not 1942. We're in 2024, all right? And we're good. Just send us an email, random.art. And dude, they were crying, laughing, and I was like, take me home.
Yep.
After that, I was like, please take me home.
I
I
do
wanna go
think
lay
there's
down.
like a convention threshold that a lot of people reach by like halfway through day 2. They're like, all right, I've done
Yeah.
enough. I've seen everything I'm gonna see here.
Oh, this is what's so bad about that con. This is so bad. I can't make this up because I almost had a meltdown. I almost had a meltdown in the convention hall. Literally, there was a guy. So when we first got there was a guy going around doing like the whole medieval like mystical journey thing. And as soon as I put my hand on the door, he got right beside me and said, "Hello, weary traveler. You want to go on a quest?" No, I want to go to bed. I just want to go.
I'm trying to get out of here, man.
I don't want to go on a mystical quest. I want to go home. And Jay and Kyle, they had to pick me up. They're like, "Come on, bro." I was like, "I just want to go home. Can we just go take a 30-minute nap in the car?" But no, we had fun. It was fun, man. Seeing, again, talking to people about what got them into cosplays and reading all these awesome venues and things like that. It was fun. But those are always our fun stories to tell people. And also in that convention, Al and Jay got chased by monks. I also told them they tried to chase me. Well, they were the good monks. They weren't the aggressive monks. They were just trying to sell a Zen book. And this is what's funny. And obviously you can't tell with us sitting down, but I do kind of walk with a limp. And they got Kyle, they got my buddy Jay, and they tried to get me. They kind of gave me a heads up. So when I went near their booth, they started coming towards me. And I started wobbling my little tail out of there. I said, "You guys won't want me. I grew up Baptist." And I just wobbled down the convention hall, just yelling that I grew up Baptist. You don't want me. And people were just staring at me. And Jay and Kyle are sitting there with the monk's book. He's like, "Devin, did you really just yell at monks that you were Baptist?" "Yes, I did. And I'm going to keep walking around this corner."
I'd do it again.
I would do it
What
again.
else are
But,
cons for?
oh, dude, it was great. I mean, saw baby alligator. I could have petted it for like $50. I can do that free in my backyard. I was like, cool pet alligator. Cons are fun. In all seriousness, I know I'm making them sound crazy, but yes, they are fun and they're very interesting, and we had a good time.
Nice.
Dane, do you have any crazy con stories you want to share?
I actually have not been to that many, weirdly. I think my craziest one is the one that I kept falling asleep. We went to like an MST3K panel that had all the guys, and I was like, man, I love this. Immediately out. I didn't remember, like, I didn't see any of it. They woke me up and they're like, "Hey, the Stanley booth is happening over there." And I'm like,
Stanley? Cool.
I'll go see him.
I need to wake up first.
Yeah, I've been to a couple fan X's, but that was, I mean, like, my favorite thing that I think I've actually seen happen, and I think it happened twice at Fan X in a row, and I'm sure, I think it's become a yearly tradition now, and they call it the Furry Parade.
Go on.
Basically, at just like, you're just wandering around the convention, and then all of a sudden you just hear a bunch of little like padded like, and you like look around, and then like arcing up around like this upper level, and then like winding down these stairs is the longest train of people in full fursuits that you've ever seen, with their hands on each other's shoulders, just running, like full sprinting, like, and like just then out of sight. And the craziest thing about that is both times I went, I didn't see a single furry before or after. Only in the parade. Only, and just like, there was no music. It was just a train. So I can only assume that they entered like the convention hall in a train, sprinted around the premises, and then right back out the door.
That was playing on some Discord somewhere. There ain't no way you just pull up in full gear and just be like, "Hey, you want to form a train? Hey, you want to form a train? Want to form a train?" No, that was planned. And I could just,
I saw them.
I could see that happening at Dragon Con down here. We have two big ones here in Georgia. We have Dragon Con and MomoCon, and I could see that happening at Dragon Con because it's so big. Oh god, I can just see it in my head. I've never been to Dragon Con. Me and my wife, we keep thinking about doing it, but Dragon Con always happens during football season, and I told my wife, I'm like, one day I'm just gonna take a quick retirement so we can go enjoy it. But I could just see a whole ocean of personas just flooding the hall. Like, okay.
It was kind of beautiful.
I mean, just you describing it, I'm like, I'm not even confused. I'm just impressed.
Yeah, it was coordinated and like it felt a little bit like a what's the word? There's a really specific word that I like to use that's like, you've brushed up against something cosmic that you can't understand, and at the same time you're
Dumbfounded?
afraid and in awe. Dumbfounded, like the sublime. That's what it was.
Oh,
Like
okay,
like
Sublime.
I
Okay.
brushed up against the sublime. There was like a cosmic sense of both like chaos but then acceptance of it that I was like, wow, maybe we will make it. Maybe we'll be all right.
Well, after you see that, you'd be like, yeah, I think I'm gonna be all right today.
Yeah.
All right, then.
Made
Hey,
me
man,
believe in humanity.
that's all the questions I have for you. Where can the people find you at home and on social media platforms?
Sure. Okay. I have a list because I've weirdly fragmented my different online identities.
You're fine.
Yeah, I think the big main place for my crosswired crafts stuff, there we go, is Instagram. It's just crosswired crafts, all one word. And then also my YouTube channel, crosswired crafts. And then, yeah, TikTok is also crosswired crafts. And then also on YouTube and Instagram and TikTok, you can just find me under, Dane Brady, Dane Judy Dench, which is usually my username on other things. And it has been since college, since somebody made that pun to me and I stole it. And that's where you can find more of my like actory, rambling, comedy stuff, singing stuff, just anything that isn't, my Bionicle crafting store. And then I did just start a new YouTube channel that's kind of like a side thing to Crosswired Crafts. There's not really anything on it yet, but there will be. I call it Crosswired Chats, which is where I'm going to put like video essays and things. I've got a couple about Superman in the works. I've got one about Transformers 1 that's basically my pitch for a Transformers 1 2 that I'm very excited about. I've been cooking it up in my head for a minute, especially now that we know it isn't happening. I'm like, cool, so I can go crazy with this. I'm not going to get, overshadowed by an official one.
Well,
And
you think
then I'm
Michael
on Blue
Bay's gonna
Sky.
come beat down your door?
They're gonna get him back, aren't they? Oh, no, don't do that to him.
Michael Bay's gonna come.
in Game 3.
Michael Bay's gonna come knocking. Hey, man, I saw your essay video. No, he's just gonna be like,
No.
no, delete it.
Delete it. Scrub it.
Yes,
from the
Mr.
internet.
Michael Bay, sir.
Yes, Mr. Bay. Yes, Mr. Bayos.
Yes, sir.
And then
I'm so sorry.
And then I'm also on Blue Sky, Dane Judy Dench, Dane Brady. You should be able to find me there. But yeah, not on Twitter anymore. I deleted my Twitter after the Mecha Hitler incident. So do not look for me there. But yeah, that's all my stuff. And then on YouTube, there's also another channel called Fell Swoop. That's where I'm putting like material for an animatic musical project that I'm working on the side, kind of. But all the links to everything you can find wherever you find any one of my accounts. So just thought I'd mention them all. Okay, that's everything.
No, you're fine. You're completely fine. Hey, guys, as always, you can check me out on my podcast, the More Sports Podcast, a sports podcast for everybody, as well as Popcorn Buckets, where we review a new movie every Sunday. And hey, don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Random Incorporated, where you can watch the video version of all of this episode and all of our awesome guests that have come on our show. And hey, we are on Twitter at Rando Corporate One, and we're on Instagram as Rando Bucket Boys, and now we're on Blue Sky at the Random Hour. Dane, any last words before I hit in?
Thanks for having me. And kindness is punk rock. Being kind is punk rock. There we go. Got it the second time.
All right, guys, until next time.